Hey there, and welcome to the People Who Help People podcast. This is the spot for HR and people ops pros who are all about building better businesses by putting people first. We chat with founders and experts who've been there, done that, and are generous enough to share what actually works. Thanks for listening, and we hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hello again. Welcome to the next episode of our podcast, The People Who Help People. Today, I'm very pleased to be talking to Les Marie, who is the head of operations, probably the founder of the Les Marie firm, a business organization, an umbrella organization, I'm going to let her describe it, that has as one element of the business a professional employer organization. The professional employer organization is, as she describes it, a one-stop shop for providing HR, payroll, benefits, compliance, employee relations, and staffing solutions to businesses in highly regulated and high turnover industries such as healthcare, trucking, warehouse, and manufacturing. Welcome to our podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Craig.
Happy to have you today. So I think I got that description right, but help me out there. Tell me about your firm and tell me about your one-stop shop.
You got it right. So the firm is a full-service business management firm, and we helped entrepreneurs who were trying to start and grow and evolve their business. When in that, we saw that in entrepreneurs, a lot of time they say, I just had an idea. And then now they become responsible for the livelihood of someone else. And when they came to me, the business owners came to me, they never had an idea that they would be employers. So we added employee human resources, workforce compliance to their package. And as the business grew, I learned that there was a gap in entrepreneurs that are now responsible for other people's livelihood. So I did some research and I decided to say, we're going to offer another division, and it's LMF HR, Strategic Human Resources and Staffing Solutions. And that's how we came about, with LMF HR. LMF HR handles all things human resources. And then we went down a little further and said, how can we make it a one-stop shop? How can we get employees ready to work? And that's when we decided to add the compliance and regulatory piece where we can staff, we can onboard, we can make sure drug tests, background checks, anything that they need in these highly regulated industries to start work. There was another gap in these regulated industries that they did not have compliant individuals in those positions. And when they started to get audited and, state came, they didn't have all the credentials or they weren't following up on the credentials that were needed for those employees. So we decided to solve that problem, fill that gap, and that's how LMF HR came about.
Terrific. I loved how you started a business, saw an opportunity, created a vehicle to serve that market, and then spotted an additional gap around compliance within your target niche. I think that's brilliant. And as we all know, within HR, if you're a bigger firm, you've kind of got all of that in place, right? So it sounds like you're as you said, the outsourced solution for some of those businesses. About how many clients have you served as a one-stop shop?
So we are at about 15 clients for a one-stop shop. And when we incorporated the drug testing and background checks, that was just because we wanted to take out the middleman. We had employees come, we would send them to the clinics, and we would never get anything back. So it was kind of like, you know what? Come to us, you sit right here, you get everything, and then you'll be ready for work. It's not that employees did not want to come to work, but there's so many things in these different regulated. It's a different type of population of employees other than going into the office. These are different type of individuals. So sometimes they need a little more help. And we decided, like I said, to close that gap and be that bridge.
Got it. Does every client hire you for the full suite, or is it kind of maybe they start with these services and then add on?
So on the business management side, it is a one contract, and you get if you have employees, you get the human resources. On the LMF HR, there's different packages that you can get within the professional employer organization offering. Whatever you need, we can serve. So there's a full package where we come in and we act as your fractional HR. There's where if you need to set up benefits for your employees, because a lot of times in small businesses, they don't even think that offering benefits is, they think it's expensive. They think it's something that they can't offer. So again, they're losing employees because they don't have a benefit package. We can We can vet or package it, payroll companies, and we can also handle the payroll for you. Depending on if you have human resources and you just need staffing, we can work as full staffing agency. And then compliance. A lot of times we have been hired from trucking companies that need us to come in and handle the compliance piece, which means we onboard the employees, we make sure that everything is compliant, and then when that year comes up or when something expires, we are also there to collect that information as well.
All right, Les Marie, we took a short break to iron through our technical challenges, and just want to say welcome back.
Thank you.
So before the break, we were talking about how companies and regulated businesses, such as trucking companies, you started out by serving them with a suite of HR services, and then you added on some compliance. And you mentioned you've grown to about 15 companies. Tell me, how do you find new companies?
You
Or
don't
how
want
do
to
new
know?
companies find you?
New companies find me. I've been extremely blessed. It's been word of mouth. I deal with a lot of healthcare, and that is kind of how we jumped into highly regulated industries. And I just kind of did research and said, okay, well, who else is regulated? Who else needs this kind of help? Can't just be healthcare. Can't just be, people who are in trucking. So, or transportation services. So that is kind of how it jumped off.
Okay. I love how you made a pivot. You recognized an opportunity. You said, well, I do this well with healthcare. Who else could I serve in a regulated fashion? Are they local companies? Do you serve? Where are your markets?
No, I have companies in different states. So we don't have to be you don't have to be in Indianapolis for us to serve you. You just have to have a business. You just have to have employees. You don't even
Okay.
have to have a business. You just have to have an idea. We can help you with that.
So you've got some clients who are established businesses taking advantage of your services. You've got another group of clients who have an idea, want to form a company, want to bring on employees, and want to grow. What's the split, roughly?
Right. So we call that our new business setup. So out of who we serve, we probably have about 3 or 4 who are just starting that we brought on their first employees.
That must be exciting for you and exciting for them when it goes from an idea to starting up to bringing on employees.
Yes, it is to actually see them, that first payroll, that first employee relations, that first scheduling. It's really exciting. And it's kind of exciting seeing them because, they're kind of nervous because they've never had employees. So, it's kind of watching it full circle. So I really thoroughly enjoy what I do.
It sounds like you do. So how'd you get into it? Tell me about your journey from deciding to be an entrepreneur to maybe some of the early challenges to where you are today.
So I have a career, over a decade long career in corporate America in operations and change management. And I've always been in leadership. I've always had employees. I've always been in a position where the livelihood of someone else's, I took that very responsible. And I saw other people who, my peers didn't take it that, they didn't have the heart for it. And I learned very early on, leading is not a one-stop cookie cutter thing. It's not black and white. Even though corporations put us in this box where these are the rules, these are the policies, and these is how you handle your employees, this is how you handle it just does not work. And we lost a lot of good people. So in the operations and project management and being over different divisions, I saw that businesses and startups, it's not that they don't have the idea, they don't have the wherewithal to do it, is they don't have the same resources, they don't have the same tools that larger organizations have. So I left my corporate career and I decided to start the firm. And I wanted to bring everything that a business owner would need to run and be successful. And it's kind of how we branched off to LMFHR. I saw the need and I wanted business owners to be successful. And I saw that after the business management side, there was another piece that they still needed. They may not have needed our services because on the business management side, we're only supposed to be with you for a year. We're only supposed to be there to advise you and manage you to get you up and running, or even if you're up and running to a point where you can run yourself optimally. So I saw that there was still a gap after that, and it was the human resource piece, and I decided to solve it.
Terrific. I love how you say we should only be with you for 1 year. So you're trying to work yourself out of a job to get them from, as you did, up and running to self-sufficient. You're trying to get them up and running to self-sufficient, but sometimes then they grow to a point where they say, wait a second, I don't need you for that startup stuff anymore, but I need your help here. And that's where you've built out a business and added to it. So speaking of adding to it, what's the latest offering you've added on? Because it sounds like you're constantly evolving what you offer.
So we just added the piece for the regulations for us to be able to do the drug testing, background checks, TB, fingerprint, whatever you need to start. That is a physicals. That's a part that we added. I'm excited about. And then we just launched our being able to offer benefits. And I'm really excited about that because, again, it's not that we can't, it's the tools and resources. So, again, those business owners didn't know this is something that they can offer. Even PTO is not something that they thought that they could give to their employees. So looking at those different benefits and even those supplemental insurances, your app like your Marathon Health. So I'm very excited about that. I'm excited of what our organization is able to bring to other organizations.
I can feel your excitement, but it's your excitement on behalf of the people you work with, because you said, as a leader, I took it very seriously, my responsibility of the lives or livelihood of others. And it sounds like you've channeled that passion into helping a larger audience provide a better livelihood for others.
Yeah, I'm a proponent of, if you're going to do something, do it right. Do it right and do it right the first time. And that's really how this came about. I wanted everybody that crossed my path that they had someone who helped them do it right. I mean, there's going to be times where we have to do cleanup, but I really want it to be minimum, and I don't want the mistakes and the angst of a business owner to be going alongside with their employees. We all know how that is as entrepreneurs. We have a lot of stuff we bump our heads on, we have to do over, but I just want it very smooth for the people that are encountering employees. And, the other side of it is corporate taught us, I'm pretty sure everybody who's watching this before they became entrepreneurs worked at a corporate job. Corporate taught us that we had to do it this way. And I'm here to tell you, you don't. And people management, people leadership, people period don't have to be a way.
Tell me a little bit more about that. When you say corporations say we have to do it a way, larger corporations, they put systems and processes in place, and you're putting systems and processes in place. What's the difference?
So my systems and processes in place are to benefit the employee, not at the detriment of the company, but so we can keep employees. Turnover sometimes happens, sometimes because our rules and policies are so rigorous that no one can keep up. A lot of times, even onboarding, sometimes there's no wiggle room, there's no being. And I understand why it is because if you're hiring for 1,000, 2,000 people, if you're bending and changing for every circumstance, it's going to take you forever to fill those requisitions. So, I'm happy that I'm not in that large scale where I have to hire or manage a team of over 100, because it does get a little issue in a place where you have to do it a certain way. Looking at these organizations that are at the 50, 100 mark, it allows us to make solutions for them. Time and attendance did not come because we wanted people to be tardy all the time. But the case may be, life has changed. COVID taught us that life has changed. We don't have to do it that way. And that's kind of how, when I started this, how I took it in effect. I went home one day from COVID and then started managing people all over the globe. I had people in Philippines. I had people in Manila. And it taught us that you can run an organization from wherever, however, and it doesn't have to be that strenuous. But for 12 years before COVID happened, it was very black and white. And how we led was black and white. How we managed people were black and white. And it just, COVID, as horrid as it was, it really gave us a piece of humanity that I don't think people really stop and look for.
I agree. So if I can summarize what I think I heard you say, what I hear you saying is the companies that you hire are competing for talent, and every new hire matters, so that we're working with you, where there's what I think is a pretty nice marriage, is you bring them access to benefits they didn't think they could benefit, so they can offer a better experience for their employees, and B, some flexibility, but also some lessons learned that says, let's structure a flexible workplace where people want to work. You can attract attract employees better, and retain those employees that we have. Is that
right? Well said. And the reason why is you hit the nail on the head. These smaller organizations, if I'm supposed to, in a factory minimum, have 10 people to get this order out, and I lose 2 people, or I didn't onboard the amount of people that I need to fulfill this contract, what happens? I lose the contract, the things don't get out of the factory, or I don't have trucks on the road, or I don't have transportation, I don't have people getting picked up, or healthcare, I don't have people coming to the client to be, render care. So it matters because in a larger organization, they have PRN, they have staff, and you just put somebody else in. A small organization, the people don't get served, and the employer, the owner, does not get paid.
Got it. It sounds like you spend a lot of time talking to your clients
I
and
do.
understanding what their needs are. Break that down for me. How much of your time is spent on client relations, and I'll even call it strategy, thinking of new offerings or new ways of serving their needs versus just the fulfillment of producing that employee handbook or helping them with putting that new system? Where are you as the owner spending your time, or you as a head of operation?
All right. So I have been thankful to be able to build a team that really understands the vision as much as I do. So I have them that are associated with different accounts. So they handle all of the, the operational side of those clients. And then I'm able to spend my time creating new processes, strategizing, and working with those clients to see what is happening this week. We had, even though they have their own companies, we are still meeting every week, just like I was in their operations. If I was full human resources hired, working in the company. So you would meet with your human resources professional every week to go over what's going on. That doesn't change.
So it sounds like your primary job is, I'll call it, their head of HR, but you've also got a team that's helping you with the delivery.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. How has that team grown? Where did you start? How big are you now?
The team has grown. When we started, it was myself, and I had a head of HR that worked, part time because she had a full time job, and I had two. And what I saw was that my clients worked during the day, so I needed people during the day, and because I was the one doing everything during the day, and getting advisory from those individuals. And then at the beginning of the year, I just decided, I knew I had it in my heart. I knew the vision that I had for my company, and I knew that I needed people there full time. And a lot of times as business owners, we have to take a step of faith, because when we hire people, human capital is the number one way in entrepreneurship. Sometimes it can suck us dry because we don't have the clients coming in. So I hired an intern, and then she ended up coming on full time. And then it just started growing that way. So right now we have a team of 5. Make a long story short, we have a team of 5.
Team of 5. Okay. I love how you started with temporary help as you were building out your offering. They were providing a lot of advice. You were building the system, but then you realized I need folks that can meet the needs and allow me to scale and now allow me to take on more clients. But the trade-off is you have to keep winning the work to put those people to work, to cover the cost of their payroll and to cover the cost of their benefits. So how's that going? You mentioned beginning of this year. So are you at the point where you're happy with the growth that you've been able to achieve to sustain that payroll? Or is
Absolutely.
there good? Okay.
Absolutely. I think if I could say to anybody, even in this field, anybody that's looking, even, as a new entrepreneur, bet on yourself every time. Bet on yourself, because it's going to work out. It's going to work out. Bet on yourself, bet on your dream. I had people going through in this, like, I know you want this to work, but you can't go broke doing it. And I know the dream that I had, and I know the plans that were called for me. So I just kept charting those waters. I kept my eye on it. I kept going, and it worked out.
And like on your website, you have some blog entries that you kind of capture point in time on your entrepreneurial journey. And one of them was about moving on. And I think the analogy was, not only did I move on, I sold the whole building. Could you tell me a little bit more about that? Because you said bet on yourself every time. It's clear that you did.
So with that was that quote was, I don't, people, when you are evolving into a new place and even into a new journey in life, people, try to associate you with what you did do or things that your past that you had. And that was really, sometimes I reflect on my life. I reflect on the things that I've gone through, but I also speak to people that have come to me and sit in my office, Craig, sometimes when I do consultations, and, they tell me their journey. And sometimes that's where I get blogs from. Some of these business owners sometimes have a past, and they took the entrepreneurial journey because they could not get jobs. And I tell them all the time, your past is your past. Where you're writing yourself now is your new journey. So that's kind of where I got. You sold the whole building. You don't live there anymore. And when people go to look for you, you're not there.
I love the mental picture of that, of moving on, starting over. And it sounds like you, as much as you help people realize their dream, you also help people believe in their dream and continue to believe in their dream, because there's um, stumbles along the way, and yet
100%.
you persisted and you help them persist. Here's a question: if you could talk to you when you started about 2 years ago or more, what do you wish you knew then that you know now?
The amount of stress that I put on myself, the amount of stress, the amount of sleepless nights, the amount of pressure that I put on myself for a vision and a calling that God had gave to me. So God gave me this vision. He gave me this calling, and I had to have the faith. I wish then I had enough faith that I do now that it would all work out, because I had faith that he gave me the journey. I had faith to leave my job. I had faith to do all of that. But then when it came to the intricate parts and the strategic and the wherewithal of the business, I didn't have that much faith. I thought I had to have my hands in it. I thought I had to know all the ends, and I had to have the ending. And that's just not how it is supposed to work. And with that, if I could say go back and tell myself that, it would be just like I've been saying through it. It will all work out.
So you put yourself under a lot of stress. Some of it was because you had this calling, but you also had doubts. Should I be doing this? Can I do this? Will it work out? And yet it did. And it did through you constantly keeping your sight on what you're seeking to achieve. And I'm guessing with each business you helped, you believed more and more.
I did. I
What,
did.
what was the tipping point?
My tipping point was I had a client who had been in business for 6 years, already had employees, and she was really my first human resource client. My other clients had employees, but not to the level of, it was just, time and attendance, payroll, scheduling. But this client had employees. We needed to offer benefits. We needed to have a competitive package that made her employees stay, because she was tired of the turnover. And she also, she was doubtful of herself, even though she had been in business for 6 years, even though her business was thriving. So where she is now to where she is when I first got her, I am so thankful. I am, just to see her growth, I'm so proud. And that let me know, like, I want to do this for more employers.
Is she a friend?
No, she was a referral. My first client was is a friend. And she believed in, before I even left my job, she believed in it.
Yeah. I don't know why I asked that question. Sometimes we work with friends and we help them along. I almost expected you to say, but she's become a friend. Or she almost feels like that. It sounds, the way you're speaking of her and your pride in the progress that she's made and that you've enabled her to make. I admire that, how you voice that.
So all my clients are some part of family to me,
Okay.
because you get so involved in their business. And as a business owner, if you are not whole, your business will not run. So the things that go on with the business owners, I got to make sure that they are together, because if not, the business won't. So that's why I can speak to my clients about my clients that way, because we've gone after a year time with somebody being in your business, somebody fussing at you, and like like it's their business. You form a relationship that you want it to work now just as much as they do. You got as much riding in on stake as they do.
You're invested in their success, and you're rightly proud of the success that you've enabled them to achieve. It sounds to me too like you don't just offer services; you offer a lot of coaching and a lot of reinforcement. How big of that is part of your success?
So, Craig, I'm going to say, how everybody has, what's your secret sauce? The coaching and part, that's not even something I even think of it and look at that way. It's just kind of like you get that mama part of me. I led for so long. It's just in me.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it sounds back to something you said earlier. You're the caring leader who cares for the livelihood of others. You applied that to the people who are working for you, but now you apply it to the clients and, frankly, the people who work for them. So I think that's admirable. Speaking of admirable, I noticed on your website you have a couple of related items, and one of them that caught my eye was, I believe it's Let's Advocate. Can you tell us a
Yes.
little bit about that?
Okay. So Let's Advocate is my non-for-profit, and how that came about. Again, being in the industry, being in the field, and I had a lot of employees that were losing their job, or a lot of employees whose children suffered, or they had attendance issues because they didn't know the resources and what was available to them, as in FMLA, even to the point where they needed help with advocating for their children. And a lot of times they couldn't advocate for their children because they could not advocate for themselves in the workplace without losing their job. So a lot of times they neglected what they needed to do for their kids because they were so scared of losing their job. And mental health is a thing that I think after COVID in America we talk about now. But I saw it in the front hand. It was a taboo. We didn't talk about it, and people suffered. The parents suffered, the kids suffered. And I just wanted to create a safe environment, a safe organization where parents, mothers who have mental and suffer from mental illness, or have children that suffer from mental and behavior issues, they had some place that offered those resources, that offered that advocacy to help. And that's what we do. I can go on and on about it. It's another passion of mine. And thanks for bringing it up.
Okay. I think it's wonderful that you're using your platform of your business to also offer, as you said, not-for-profit services that help this community that we're all part of, but especially on such important things as advocating for ourselves and for those we love. So I really like that. Perfect. I've enjoyed our conversation today. If people want to get in touch with you, or they would like to learn more about you and your business, what do you recommend? How do they get in touch with you?
I recommend you go into our website, www.thelesmariefirm.com. Coming soon, we're going to have our own website for LMF HR. It hasn't launched yet. I think the domain is out there. I don't think it's anywhere. And there is several places you can do a consultation. You can sign up for our newsletter, read some of the information that's out there, but that's the way that you can get me. Our phone number is out there to the firm. I would love to hear from you. Anybody, even if you're in this industry and you're starting out or you've been there, you got some advice for me, reach out to me.
Terrific. Okay. I've enjoyed our conversation today. And just as a reminder, this has been a discussion about evolving a professional employer organization, that one-stop shop for HR from startup through to growth with Les Marie. Les Marie, thank you so much. And thank you for being our guest.
Thank you for having me, Craig. It was great.